We have talked a lot, and rightfully so, about the damage that Elon Musk has already done to our country domestically, but it is the rest of the world that I feel is being overlooked. The relationship that Elon Musk has with our adversaries, the business that he does every year with China, and the private government information he now has unfettered access to have, and if he wants to distribute, because we know Donald Trump is not getting in his way, and that's a terrifying thought, and it is one that Jamie Raskin just called out, and it led to a rather upset Elon Musk on Twitter, and we are going to get into that all. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already, you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me now. Let's get into what Jamie Raskin had to say, and then we'll take a look at a bit of an Elon meltdown.
Apparently, in Elon and Don's America, the federal government is no longer here to protect you. It is here for one purpose and one purpose only: to empower and protect Elon Musk and his friends. Joining me now is Congressman Jamie Raskin of Maryland, ranking member of the House Judiciary Committee. I do want to start with that threat from Mr. Martin. Your thoughts on that? He has not offered any evidence that anything has happened other than these names being published by Wired and other journalists. So whatever could he mean by pursuing these so-called threats? He's not given any evidence of it, and no one should threaten anyone. Let's just be clear about that. What do you make of his threats?
I mean, he didn't utter a peep when Enrique Tarrio, recently pardoned, issued a social media statement on X, I believe, with the name of the female FBI agent who he accuses of various nefarious crimes, and says that she should be arrested and put in jail, and bringing all kinds of social pressure on her. He's not done anything to try to insulate the FBI agents who've come under attack by all of the freed Proud Boys and Oath Keepers and Three Percenters and violent insurrectionists. So that guy is a J6 enthusiast. He's a J6 lawyer, and he's doing everything in his power to exact retaliation against the federal prosecutors and the FBI agents and the cops who simply did their jobs for America.
You know, I still recall, and it still sears in my mind, Ruby Freeman and Shay Ma saying that you can't describe the feeling of your federal government coming after you and training the entire awesome power of the White House on you as just an individual person. What we have now is the U.S. Attorney from Washington, as well as the Heritage Foundation, through its donation to this watch list group. You know, the people on that list, they put their faces in there, they put their identifying information. Some of them have gotten unsolicited pizza deliveries so that people, letting them know they know where they live. People have gotten swatted. I don't hear any impetus from this federal government under the Trump administration to protect any American who, as you said, are being threatened. And they are also demanding to know the identities of these FBI agents, as you just said. And who knows whether those will just wind up in the hands of Elon Musk, who seems to think this is all hilarious. At this point, what protection do ordinary Americans who are not Trumpers, what protection do we have at all?
Well, the Association of FBI Agents went to court yesterday to try to protect not hundreds, but thousands of FBI agents who are within the scopes of Donald Trump and his team of people trying to whitewash January 6th. They consider it essential to completely rewrite the story of what happened and turn these criminals, who they called political prisoners and hostages, into heroes and patriots, and then turn the people who enforced the law to defend the democracy, including cops who were wounded and injured and hospitalized, turn them into the villains of the story. It's just so outrageous. And, you know, they have spent the last few years talking about the weaponization of government without any evidence for it, all obviously to prepare for their weaponization of the government to make people think that this is normal.
Now we are going to check out a bit more of that interview with Joy Reid and Jamie Raskin, but I just think it is so important to address what he is talking about here. If this was any other person in America, Republicans would be losing it constantly. These people who are always talking about how we need to compete with China do not care about Elon's business ties. They also don't care about exercising American soft power globally through U.S. That's something they have talked about all the time up until about 2 weeks ago. And what a shock they are, all either bought and paid for or scared as hell of both Donald Trump and Elon Musk. That is what the Republican Party is. And when that gets pointed out, Elon doesn't seem to like it too much. So I want to check out a tweet that he made right here. Jamie Raskin rightfully pointed out the richest man in the world, never elected to anything, is violating the law every day to control our critical public infrastructures. This has no democratic legitimacy. We don't have a fourth branch of government called Elon Musk, and we do not need one. And a MAGA influencer replied, Sweetie, who was running the country when Biden was president, you're an abusive, hypocritical, corrupt POS. Elon responds, uplifting this tweet with a laughing emoji. Now, I love, and by love, I mean absolutely hate the implication in this tweet that there was some global cabal of the globalist billionaires pulling the strings of Joe Biden because he was just a puppet when he was president, and it was this super wealthy controlling him. And in that implication is the idea that if that were to be the case, it would be bad. But that is currently what is happening with Donald Trump and his co-president or real president or whatever you want to call him at this point. Our fourth branch of government in Elon Musk. So MAGA is admitting that if a billionaire was controlling our government to serve their interests, many of which run contrary to the interest of everyone in America, that'd be bad. But that's what Elon is doing. Can you not get that? No, they can't get that straight. Clearly not. And that's why we have to continue to call him out. That's why I want to check out more of what Jamie Raskin had to say.
It's kind of bizarre watching our country sort of descend into this sort of, what in the past would have been called sort of third world sort of junta behavior, but it is happening in real time. And I will note that Marvin Dunn, Marvin Dunn, the former police officer Dunn, not Marvin Dunn as another Dunn, was just
Harry
confronted
Dunn, yeah.
by one of these J6ers in the street, Harry Dunn, in the streets of D.C. By one of them. But anyway, let me move on to the actual thing. I think that people are really freaking out and terrified about. These unelected people, they're not government employees. Nobody knows, DOGE doesn't exist. It isn't real. They now have access to maybe hundreds of millions of people's data. The Congress passed a law trying to stop TikTok from operating out of fear that the Chinese government would get Americans' data through TikTok. This is now a group of people, some of whom have expressed openly racist views that are particularized against certain communities, or who are just unserious in some of the goofs they've done online, don't seem very serious people. They can do whatever they want with this data. By the time the courts adjudicate this, won't it be too late? Won't they maybe have already downloaded it and repurposed it for whatever?
Well, that's why we need the courts to move so quickly and to enjoin any further leakage or any corruption and misuse of this data while we can. And it may be getting late. I mean, you mentioned the Chinese government, and Elon Musk is, of course, very much in bed with the Chinese government and the Chinese Communist Party. So if they want any of this data, they've got a very clear channel by which they can get it. And it's an absolute violation of the Privacy Act and a whole bunch of other federal laws that are being violated. But Elon Musk has been sending his juvenile fascist night crew to federal agencies and departments throughout Washington, including coming into my district, to NOAA, to NIH, the FDA, in order to get not just all the financial records, but personnel records at NIH, patient records, records from various studies and various grants. So they want to run roughshod over the entire legal infrastructure protecting the privacy rights of the people, all for their own purposes, which may be governmental, they may be corporate, they may be private, they may be political. And right now, all we've got is the opportunity for courts to step in to say that this data must be returned to the government, and we've got to end this raid on it by Elon Musk.
I want to just note for the audience that Donald Trump has announced today that he's going to fire some January 6th investigators, calling some of them corrupt. You responded actually to this normalized Indian hate guy. And it's sweet that you don't want to ruin a kid's life, saying to J.D. Vance something to bear in mind next time you oppose gun safety laws. But does that mean that this kid should have access to private data of tens of millions of Americans? And I will note one more thing just for the audience. The New York Times is reporting that the Treasury Department has installed an ally of Elon Musk in a key position overseeing the nation's payment system, replacing a career civil servant who had resisted granting Mr. Musk's cost-cutting team access to payment data. The payment data seems particularly important and particularly sensitive. By the time, again, if the Supreme Court gets this case, and I have no faith, I'm being honest, that John Roberts won't just enshrine this under law and say that Donald Trump does have the unitary authority to spend America's money and it's not Congress. By the time it gets there, again, won't it be too late? They have the payment system. They've got the normalized Indian hate guys back on the job. Can we even stop this?
Well, I mean, speed is of the essence here, for the reasons you're saying, Joy. It is an overwhelming amount of information about a huge number of people. And so if the courts move with dispatch, they might be able to prevent a lot of damage from being inflicted. But nobody should normalize what's.
There is so much just guck Elon news out there, what Steve Bannon likes to call flooding the zone. Yeah, there's plenty of that. It's hard to hit it all, but we just have to be very specific in how we talk about how Elon is serving himself and how he's screwing you in order to do it. That is this great point that Jamie Raskin is making. That is what we need to keep talking about. It's what we're going to talk about on the show every single day. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. You can leave a like on this video. And if you're stuck around at the end, you can drop a bluer in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.